I stood at the heart of a sunlit vineyard, rows of golden vines stretching endlessly around me, their leaves whispering in the autumn wind. My chest thudded as if a war drum had taken residence inside me. The scent of earth and crushed grapes clung to the air, sweet yet heavy. Behind me, rows of polished wooden pews stood empty, their silence louder than thunder. Not a single seat was filled by the people who were supposed to matter most. Not my parents. Not my brother. Not even the friend I once trusted with my deepest secrets. They hadn't come. Not to see me. Not to witness me binding my life to the woman I loved. For them, another event had taken precedence. They chose glamour over loyalty, a gala over my vows. And then, as if fate wanted to twist the knife deeper, my phone buzzed. A single message lit the screen. We need to talk. Now. Before I go further, let me pause for a second. If you've ever felt invisible, discarded, or betrayed by those closest to you, then what I'm about to share may feel painfully familiar. Make sure to hit that subscribe button for more stories like this one, and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Now let's dive in. My name is Ethan, and this isn't a plea for sympathy. This is the story of how I stopped living as their shadow and finally claimed the life they never wanted me to have. Picture it. A rustic barn glowing under strands of fairy lights, wildflowers draped along wooden beams. Beside me stood Lena, her hand brushing mine with quiet strength, her gaze steady though she could see the fracture opening inside me. The front pews had been set aside for family, my parents, my brother Marcus, and Aaron, the friend I once called a brother. Yet those seats sat vacant, the reserved signs fluttering like cruel jokes in the vineyard breeze. I told myself maybe they were late. Maybe traffic, maybe a wrong turn, maybe fate would deliver them at the last moment. But deep down I knew better. Their absence wasn't a mistake, it was a choice. A verdict. Later that night, after vows were exchanged and laughter filled the barn, I tried to drown myself in joy. I clapped, I smiled, I raised toasts. But in my pocket, my phone buzzed relentlessly, like a second heartbeat. 62 missed calls. My parents. Marcus. Even Aaron. And then that one text from my mother. We need to talk now. I slipped away to the edge of the vineyard. The night air was sharp, the horizon painted in shades of fading gold. I called her back. Her voice came through, cold and businesslike. No greeting, no warmth, no acknowledgement of the day I'd just lived. She spoke of Marcus's promotion party across the city, scheduled deliberately on the same night as my wedding because Marcus's boss's family could only attend then. My wedding was nothing but collateral damage. And then she dropped the real blow. The $12,000 I had wired them the previous spring, the money I'd saved for this wedding, had been spent on Marcus's celebration. Crystal centerpieces, a live quartet, gourmet catering. My sacrifice turned into his triumph. Even Aaron, the friend who once swore he'd never abandon me, was there toasting Marcus's success while I stood deserted at my own wedding. When the call ended, I stood frozen in the cold air, breath ragged, vision blurred. In that moment, the truth was undeniable. I was not their son, not their brother, not their friend. I was their wallet, their lifeline, their shadow, and they assumed I always would be. That night, I forced a smile for the photographs, holding Lena's hand tighter than ever, pretending the cracks weren't spreading through my chest. But inside, something shifted. A decision began to form in silence. The next morning, clarity hit me like sunlight breaking through a storm. Not rage, not sorrow, just truth. I opened my laptop, pulled every financial record I had, and let the numbers tell the story I had ignored for far too long. $4,500 for my father's car payments when his shop collapsed. $8,000 for Marcus's graduate tuition when he lost his scholarship. $300 every month for my mother's essentials, which somehow became designer handbags. $3,000 for Aaron's mysterious crisis that was never repaid. It went on, year after year. Adding it all up, I realized I had poured more than $159,000 into their lives. And still, they left me with empty pews on the day I gave my heart to Lena. That was the morning I closed the accounts. I flagged the charges as unauthorized, froze every lifeline they had taken for granted. Within hours, calls poured in. Marcus begging, my mother crying, Aaron fumbling excuses. I let them ring. For once, my silence was the loudest answer I could give. Lena and I escaped to a lakeside cabin that weekend. No Wi-Fi, no phones, no noise. Just the two of us, a fire crackling in the hearth, and silence that began to stitch my soul back together. She looked at me across the glow of the flames and said softly, "They never saw you. Not the real you." And in that moment, I knew she was right. Back home, the fallout spread like wildfire. Marcus's follow-up gala collapsed when vendors pulled out, unpaid invoices chasing him. Guests arrived to find bare tables, paper plates, and awkward silence. His boss's wife whispered about poor planning. His reputation cracked. My parents fell silent, their calls disappearing into the void. Aaron vanished altogether. But I wasn't done. I compiled everything, receipts, voicemails, screenshots of transactions, and mailed it all with one simple line. "This is what it costs to be your family." Then, an email arrived. A stranger. A woman named Jade who had been at Marcus's party. She told me Marcus had bragged about me, calling me his endless fund, his insurance plan, boasting that I'd never push back. That truth cut deeper than all the theft combined. And when I learned Marcus was spinning lies, that I'd abandoned my own wedding, that I was jealous, unstable, unhinged, I knew silence was no longer an option. So, I told the truth. One post. No names, no direct accusations, just facts. My family skipped my wedding. They used my money for my brother's party. This is me and my wife, smiling with empty pews behind us. That post spread like wildfire. Strangers shared it. Friends commented. Even Marcus's boss's family saw it. His carefully built image cracked under the weight of reality. His promotion trembled. His allies stepped back. My parents vanished into silence. Aaron remained a ghost. But something unexpected happened too. Messages poured in. Hundreds of them. From people I'd never met. Each sharing their own story of being used, discarded, or forgotten. For the first time in my life, I wasn't invisible. Not long after, Lena and I hosted a small gathering. Just true friends. No demands. No debts. Just laughter echoing through our home. And for the first time in years, I felt whole. I don't need their apologies. I don't need their regret. What I have now is Lena, truth, and myself. If you've ever felt like a ghost in your own family, used until you were hollow, know this, you can reclaim yourself. You can step out of the shadows. Share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe if you're ready to stop being invisible. Together, we'll shine a light bright enough to burn through every shadow.